Hello, welcome to Subjective Insights. Today I'm going to talk about dialectics. I like dialectics. I will use as an example the way dialectics is used in The Social Construction of Reality, a book by a guy called Peter something Bergman or Bergman. Okay, so he says, in order to understand society, you have to understand that society is a dialectical process, right? That has three moments. You know that there's that, when you tell most people about dialectics, in their head that they will come up with the thesis, antithesis, synthesis structure, right? Which Hegel, who first talked about dialectics, never used. Well, essentially, dialectics is a circular process, and it's a way by which opposites interact with each other. And it's a way of looking at things without using the either or. So you can have these two opposites, and you can have them interacting and producing new stuff through their interaction. Often their interaction involves them shifting from one to the other. So in the social dialectic, it's made up out of three moments, right? And the first moment is externalization, the second moment is objectivation, and the third moment is internalization. Now, before we proceed, to call any of these moments the first, second or third is purely arbitrary. You can begin anywhere in the cycle. It's a circle, so there is no beginning or end in a circle. But for the sake of understanding, I think that sequence is the best. So, we have these thoughts, emotions, opinions, ideas, imaginings and all that kind of thing going on in our nut, right? Which I will call all of that, even everything you see, as the contents of consciousness. And so through externalization, what we do is we externalize those contents, right? So I have a thought in my head. I'm doing externalization currently, by the way. I have a thought in my head and I externalize it through my gob. I speak words, okay? Now then, once these words are spoken, once I've made this video and I pull it up on YouTube, it goes into the objectivation stage. This video becomes an artifact. It becomes an object out there, so to speak, right? And so its status as an object independent of me and us, that we can view and not view, pause and all that kind of stuff, is the objectivation moment in the dialectical circle. The third part is known as internalization, right? So in internalization, what you do is you internalize objects essentially and they become contents of consciousness. So you see apples and fruit and stuff like that, and this internalization process is done through understanding. So and just through looking at stuff, thinking about stuff, maybe using an apple as a symbol of something, and taking stuff and just using it to express to yourself your own internal contents and to talk about stuff. And then once you've internalized it, like say somebody could look at this video and they could use an understanding they got from this video to talk about something else. So the process goes round and round and round and round. Okay? Now I'll use this to talk about morality, right? And how within this, what people do is they get tricked into thinking that the objectivation stage, that the status as object of certain human creations, is actually independent of humans. So the way morality comes about, in my opinion, from my thinking, is that man, his internal part of our internal conscious contents is that we have preferences, right? We would rather things be one way or the other, right? But not both. We prefer certain things over other things. And so with this preferential structure, we look out at the objective world and we say, yeah, I like that, but I don't like that. That could be better. And part of the external world that we look at is ourselves, our own capacities, right? Like, I wish I could do this. I wish I didn't do this so often, etc., etc., etc. And then he states these preferences as kind of moral maxims that everybody should follow. And so the internal contents of consciousness is, I like that, I don't like that. and then the objectivated externalized form of those preferential contents is moral maxims, like it's bad to murder, you shouldn't steal, it's good to help people, etc, etc, etc. And then of course people internalize those things, which is, you could see a lot of the whole Judaic tradition as an ongoing internalization process and an externalization process of all the moral maxims and laws that have gone on in like the kind of the Talmud and stuff like that. And then most people, what they do when they look at morality, they only see the objectivated stage, and they treat these statements like you should not murder, you should do this, you should do that, as if they were rules of nature, right? That man had no part in creating. And thus a false consciousness comes up. Yeah, so dialectics. What you see there is you can then see a kind of interaction between conscious phenomena, you know, mental states, and the physical outside world, so to speak. So this interaction goes backwards and forwards, it changes each other. And you can't understand one without the other, you can't have one without the other. Goodbye!